Ladies and gentlemen, let's GameInTed.com video. The Steam Summer Sale has begun. It is currently the 19th of June, and so for those of you who with limited wallet capacity and want to buy the best deals, the question becomes, what shall you buy? Well, there's actually some really good deals today. And I'll be totally honest, there's actually no really bad purchases. You could pretty much buy any of the first day's deals and you would not have a bad game. With that said, I'm going to blast through all of the titles, at least the ones that I've played. Obviously, I'm not going to speak about the ones that I've not, but I certainly will discuss those that I have, and I'll go into what I think. So, first one we've got to begin with, at least in my personal opinion, is Far Cry 3. It's available for 75% off, or, if you prefer, $7.49. Us Brits, however, get a really good price on this. It's actually only $3.74. That's 75% off both. There's not much I can say about this title that hasn't been said a billion times over. It really is one of those games where you're loving every moment of the gameplay. We've done a first impressions review of it. You can check it out if you want, but there's not really anything to say. For the price, particularly for us British folks, it's ridiculously good and it's fun. It has a couple of issues, primarily that the main antagonist kind of disappears halfway through the game, but I have to confess that I absolutely loved every moment of the game, despite the fact that there was a couple of frustrating moments, but overall, it's certainly one of my favourite titles of recent years. Next up, The Witcher 2, 80% off, so that would be $3.99 or £2.99. Done first impressions of this as well, and this is the enhanced edition, which means we get a bunch of other stuff. The Witcher 2 is not one of those RPGs that you just enter lightly. It is a fully immersive experience. I would recommend, however, you play the first one if you're fully interested in the storyline. Regardless, The Witcher 2 is pretty solid. The graphics are extremely impressive, the combat is deep and rewarding. I would, however, recommend for those of you who are not super into RPGs, you might have a little bit of difficulty getting into this. It's quite steep and it has a very in-depth world. It's not just one of those games that you jump in and then you play for 5 minutes and you jump back out of. There is a lot to this. It's also, of course, deals with a lot of adult themes, so if you are easily offended, then this is probably not the title for you. However, at the price, it is an absolute steal, and I would highly recommend it. Another game that I was actually surprised with how much I liked was Sins of a Solar Empire Rebellion. It's 80% off, so $7.99 in dollars, or for pounds, $5.99. So if Brits gets a pretty good deal once again. This is a space RTS, and once again done a couple of videos on this one, so you can check them out on the channel. Really old, some of our older stuff, so the quality isn't quite up to par. I have to say, I was actually quite a big fan of this game. It is a space type of RTS that looks absolutely beautiful. Now, I will be totally utterly honest with you. This is another one of those games where it's not going to be for everyone. You are going to have to invest some time in this. You are not just going to jump into it, spend 5 seconds looking around, and then say, okay, I understand everything. You are going to have to invest in it, understand what the various units do, understand some good strategies, but once you do, it's a deep and rewarding experience. I'd personally highly recommend it to anyone with a passing interest in this type of genre. Next up, DayZ. I don't really think I need to say much about this one because it's been covered to death by just about everyone and their mother. It's 15% off, so it's not a massive discount, but it's $25.49. That's if you're paying in the dollars, or $16.99 on if you're paying in pounds. I haven't personally played this one, which I know is pretty surprising, but I just never got around to actually trying it out. I would personally recommend, if you've had the opportunity, if you've not had the opportunity, it's a reasonable price. It's not exactly the world's greatest discount. It scores very well. Of course, it has a ridiculous amount of memes and everything else labelled after it. So go ahead and pick it up. There probably will be better deals, but when they'll come about, who the hell knows? Divinity Original Sin is next. Be warned, this is an early access game, but it's currently available for a rather reasonable price, $31.99 if you're paying in dollars, $24 or $23.99 to be precise, to us Brits. And this is another game that's doing the rounds and seems to be quite popular at the moment, actually. Obviously, right now it is still in early access, so you have to make of that as you will. I'd recommend doing some checking. I've not personally tried this out, so definitely do some early access checking, your regular due diligence, just to make sure that the game's not a complete and utter broken mess. But it seems to be holding together fairly well from my research. Dead Rising 3 is next, 25% off. $37.49 if you're paying once again in dollars, or $29.99 if you're paying in pounds. Right, here's the situation with this. The Xbox One version equals a very good game, but there were some frame rate concerns, right? Some people also criticised it for the fact it was a bit serious for a Dead Rising game, but regardless, the PC version is locked at 30 frames a second unless something's changed as of recording times, and that's pissed quite a few people off. Now, it might piss you off to the point where you don't want to buy the game, but on the other hand, the game does look very cool. It's definitely receiving large upgrades, and for the most part, and I'm probably going to get some angry hate here, 30 FPS in Dead Rising is not going to be the make or break. Now, I am part of the 60 FPS brigade. I personally believe that 60 FPS is really the way forward, and I don't necessarily agree that we should be happy with the fact that this is a 30 FPS title. I think we should be pretty pissed, and I think you should tweet, and I think that you shouldn't, however, not buy the game because of it. Because at the end of the day, not buying the game equals poor sales figures, so you might not get a Dead Rising 4. If you like the game, buy it, and protest by basically just being a complete pain in the butt. Complain for the fact that, you know, you want a better version the next time. It's looking a cool game, that it's going to have better performance, as long as you've got the system to run it. I know my opinion probably won't be the most popular there, but that's just how he thinks of it. Next up, Don't Starve. It's available for 75% off, $3.74 if you're paying in dollars, or if you're paying in pounds, rather, $2.74. This is available on the PC to begin with, and I have to confess, I actually really like this game. I wasn't really sure how I was going to take it to begin with. I mean, you can get it with the Reign of Giants DLC as well for $7.59 if you're paying in dollars. Here's the thing with this game. If you've ever watched any survival shows like Survivor Man, any of that type of stuff, you'll get the basic ideas of what you're supposed to do. Right, so you need to create a fire, you don't want to be walking into the wilderness alone, and all of that good stuff. Alone at night, rather. But it works really well, and I was really surprised. The gothic, Tim Burton-esque type of art style is really fitting for the game, and I absolutely love it. I've covered this on the PS4 and the PC, and I'd recommend that you check it out for the price. Be warned, for PlayStation Plus owners, it is available for free. It's a free download. However, my personal opinion is it does play a little bit better, not in terms of frame rate or any of that jazz, but just in terms of, I think the controls are better suited for PC, and for the price, it's just a good deal, and in my opinion, well worth the coughing up. Democracy is next, and available for $8.49 in dollars, or if you're once again paying in pounds, $6.45. That's 66, percent off. I can honestly say that I've never played this game. I've no interest in it whatsoever. It scores okay in terms of Metacritic, but I'd recommend you do your own due diligence on this. I've not personally any idea how good it is. So, next one, we have XCOM Enemy Unknown. You can pick this up as well as the Bureau XCOM Declassified if you so wish, but the base game is $7.49 if you're paying in dollars, or if you're paying in pounds, it's actually a really good deal. It's actually $3.74, so it's definitely worth coughing up for. This is actually a really good game. There is a demo of it, and I've also done a first impressions. I would normally reel off a load of stuff, but there's a demo of it for Pete's sake, and I've also done a first impressions. Personally think it's a really good game, but there's not really that much to say other than just try out either the demo or check out the first impressions, or check out the first impressions while you're downloading the demo, because it's going to take you time anyway. Either way, right? Next, I'm going to quickly go over the flash deals. These are going to be like super duper quick. Ready? Steady, go. DMC Devil May Cry available 75% off, $12.49 in dollars or $7.49 in pounds. Good game. Dante, it's the way they've changed him. I hate his new character. He pisses me off. He seems like he's a 40-year-old's version of what, or even probably a 50-year-old's version, a person's opinion of what something cool would be like in the current generation. His attitude pisses me off, and I find the storyline suffers a little bit because I don't really care about some of the characters because of that. But with all of my bitching and complaining, I do like the game in terms of combat. So one of those games where you're possibly going to hate the character, especially if you played the earlier titles, but the combat remains as fun as ever. So it's a good game for the price. Dead Island Riptide, $5 or £5, so us Brits get absolutely screwed over here because of obviously the currency conversions. It's a good game. I've done a first impressions of this. It's not perfect, honestly. But I think this is one of those games where it's definitely going to be better if you're willing to play with a friend. You know, these games generally do come into their own. It scores fairly poorly in terms of Metacritic, but I think it's a bit unfair. I actually quite like this game. Hotline Miami. I've never played it. I know that's going to sound a little bit strange, but it's 85% off, $1.49 or $1.04, depending on dollars or pounds respectively. Everyone knows about this game by now. It's ultra violent and pretty damn fun. As far as I'm aware, it actually started out to be a remake of GTA, but then kind of morphed into its own game. It's pretty cool. I've played it very briefly and I quite liked it, but I just never played it for any length of time because I was playing it around a friend's house. So, yeah. Mirror's Edge is next. It's $4.99 or $2.49 dollars and pounds respectively, so us Brits actually get a good one for here. I actually quite like this. It's kind of parkour in first person, which can throw people off. I have to admit, for me personally, I ran off of a couple of ledges, especially early on. The game does look absolutely beautiful, however, and it does benefit from Nvidia's physics. Personally, I quite like the game. It's not without flaws. For the price, however, which is pretty damn cheap at the moment, there's not really a reason not to pick it up. Anyway, that's just about it for this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I'll see you soon. Take care, and bye for now.